Hello. So, why am I here? Well, I'm here because I read a book. Now, you might be saying, big deal. We've all read books. So what? Well, it's just that I have this little project that I come on to YouTube here and talk about all the books that I've been reading. Because I like to read, or I'm addicted to reading, or anyway, I am reading. I'm in the process of reading. I am a reader. And this book I read in one day. Actually, I saw it in a video by another booktube person, Anna Wallace Johnson. I had to look up her name because I forgot her name. I know what she looks like. Anna Wallace Johnson, another New Yorker, as I am, and a booktube reader person, although from a previous generation or a following generation. She's not as old as I am, but how many YouTube people are. At any rate, the book is Susan Sontag, Regarding the Pain of Others. This is one of them kind of intellectual books. It's a book of thoughts, a book of thoughtful thoughts, regurgitation of thoughtful thoughts. It's essays. It's nonfiction. Well, there goes the cat. I guess I was sort of leaning on the cat, but I'm cat sitting. That's the cat. It's essays and it's nonfiction, and it's about actually it's sort of a sequel. It was written in this century, some years ago, since she's actually since passed away, and Susan Sontag has not written anything since she's dead. But she did write this before she died. She wrote on photography in 1977, which is a very long time ago. That was almost 50 years ago. Whew! I read that book many years ago. I don't have a damn thing to say about it other than I did read it. And because I don't remember it, I don't remember things I read, all that. Well, now the task is to remember and say something intelligent about this present book that's in my hand regarding the pain of others. The pain of others. It's actually how the pain of others is portrayed in artistic renderings, in paintings. She mentions several paintings that she actually I looked up some of them because I didn't know them, and I was trying to go along with the book here. And she mentions photography, of course, more pictures, and regarding the pain of others and how these, she talks about, what happens when the work of, say, war photographers. She talks about war pictures, the Brady Company that was famous for taking pictures during the Civil War at the very early stages of photography. And it turns out Matthew Brady did not take those himself. Someone else took them. Or he had a couple of guys working for them that he sent out to go, you go out to the battlefield and take those pictures. I'll stay here and deal with the money. So that's what went on with with that mostly. But apparently that was the first war that we see dead soldiers on the battlefield, but we see them with their heads, their faces turned away. Apparently there is some kind of an issue with seeing the dead person's face. That is the face of death, and apparently that is more shocking than just the body lying there. So yeah, she goes into the a lot of the ethical issues of this kind of photography, and how it can be constructed, how photographs, even documentary photographs, photographs that are taken, assumed to be documented, will also be sometimes manipulated. Like we'll move this body over here and move this cannonball over here to make everything kind of work out better in the composition. Oh, she mentions a famous photograph that I actually already spoke about here on BookTube. It was the book about Ira Hayes, and Ira Hayes being the American Indian who was on Iwo Jima during World War II as a Marine and assisted in the raising of the flag on this horrible island of Iwo Jima that they'd raided and had this pitched horrible battle on. So she talks about that photograph as and whether that was manipulated, and it wasn't. It wasn't really. Well, according to the Ira Hayes book, and that she says in this book, is it was done. The second the image of Iwo Jima that we see is actually the second time this was done. The first time it was with a smaller flag, but they raised it again, and it wasn't particularly staged as far as placing men here or there or so forth, because there's also a film shot of that moment, and so it was just kind of done. So, well, okay, what else do I have to say about this book? Yeah, it's I'm an intellectual. I'm aware of that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm particularly smart. What intellectual means to me is that your life is basically led inside your head in thoughts and intellect. I'm not really a natural person out there, you know, dealing with the farm or I don't know, whatever else. Where are my thoughts? My thoughts are in the books. My thoughts are in my worries. My thoughts are in my thoughts. My thoughts are not. I'm not living in this sort of in the moment. I'm living in the world of my thoughts. And and as far as memories, she talks about memories, and remember 9/11, and the pictures of 9/11. Then of course, then people come along who don't remember 9/11, so their memory is the memory of the photo of the memory. So a lot of our memories, the things we're supposed to remember, like as Iwo Jima. Remember what happened on Iwo Jima. Remember all that stuff. But we weren't on. I wasn't on Iwo Jima. I was not quite born yet. Almost though. It's kind of shocking to me how close my birth was to World War II. I mean, I was born like 6 years after World War II, after like the bombs. I mean, it's kind of crazy, and I'm sort of still here. Yeah, she. I listened to some. Trying to find more insight about what the hell to say about this, being a sort of foggy intellectual and elder intellectual, and not really a trained intellectual as I am. I tried to get some more information on Susan Sontag and maybe even a discussion of the book on the internets while I was at work yesterday modeling. And I did listen to, what was that guy's name? Maybe Matthew? Matthew Brady, no, Matthew. Brian? There's a biography, an authorized biography of Susan Sontag, and I listened to the author in conversation with one of the writers, Rebecca Solnitz, Solnitz, who is one of her books I read previously and posted. I don't remember the name of it. But so what was I talking about? Oh, the writer of the book. Oh, he talked about all these things about Susan Sontag, that she was from California, from like L.A., where her parents went out to be near the movie biz. So her mother was rather tragic alcoholic, actually, and so that's all part of her story. I guess her mother died maybe rather young when she was rather young. Her mother died, or else I'm thinking of some other thing I listened to. But so of course, she made her life in New York because that's where society was. That's where the where well, New York, right? It was the center of intellectual life in the early mid 20th century. All that, I don't know what it is now, but it's probably still kind of that. Yeah, so she talks about all these things about. I mean, you probably want to read it for yourself to figure out what you think about these things, because clearly I don't have that much to say about it all. But it's interesting. It's really media studies. I mean, just like what Douglas Rushkoff or Neil Postman, that I just posted, amusing ourselves to death. Yeah, like that. It's media studies, and I think media studies is like way important. I mean, we need to know what is happening with this stuff that is manufactured by humans. It's not natural stuff. You don't walk through the park and all of a sudden come upon a photograph taken of the park in the previous generation or whatever. So it's all new in our human world that we need to deal with these things. And it's important, I think, to understand the mechanisms that go on between A, the manufacturer, A, the distributor, the photographer and the distributor and the manufacturer, and what goes on, the mechanisms of ourselves when we experience a photograph, and what that photograph tells us about the situation in the photograph. So often we take it as reality when it's usually not exactly reality. And of course, it's not reality at all. It's a piece of pixels on a screen now, or, whatever. It's not really a photograph. So, really life. It's just a photograph, a simulation. Oh, she talks about Goya some, and how Goya talked about this pain of other thing, how on a lot of his horrible carnal kind of paintings that he wrote, this is real here, on the bottom. This is real. I didn't make this shit up. This is real stuff here. You got to look at this and believe it as real. Because people are always suspicious of pictures, of pictures being somehow art, somehow not true, somehow a story being told. And now more than ever, of course, she didn't go into all this, but I can, on my computer, I can make pictures of unreality. I can make with Adobe or many other functions I have, screens. Actually, I've used AI comic pictures quite a few times here to be the thumb images for my YouTube here. So yeah, we now we have always, and video too. We can manufacture fake video. So this is a whole new world that she wasn't dealing with 20 years ago when she wrote this book, and it's coming on strong now. And it's more more of an issue and more of an issue. So, yeah, Susan Sontag was somewhat closeted, apparently. I guess she ended up with Annie Leibovitz. Apparently, she was not a. She was kind of a difficult person. It mentions her having a lot of relationships and a lot of friendships, and many of them broken along the way. So something went on where she was not somebody who could maintain stable, lifelong relationships. And, I know it about that quite a bit myself. So some sort of trait within her, maybe it has to do with the alcoholism of her mother, which made her suspicious of others and, afraid of them abandoning her or something, so she abandoned them first, that kind of a thing. So anyway, yeah, I will probably have a lot more to say about the next book, but this is, it's a short book. It's 126 pages, and it's all quite interesting. She's a good writer. I think I'm going to read a Susan Sontag novel at some point. She she is of the generation that the high mark, the goal, the supreme art of a writer is the novel. And, a lot of that generation believed that. I was just listening to a podcast, actually was the writer's voice, which I listened to quite a bit, Francisca Rihanna. And she had on the daughter of Peter Matheson, and one of the daughters of Peter Matheson, who has written a book about her parents. And that was Peter Matheson's idea too. Like his most famous and beloved book is The Snow Leopard, but he was like, I'm a novelist. The Snow Leopard being a nonfiction, and the daughter in the podcast said, well, he's real. He's himself in that. He's not, making a story. And I read one of his novels. The one set in Bolivia, the one that had the movie made of it. I'll think of it and put it up on the edit. But so yeah, paintings, pictures, images, TV, how we how we are watching. She talks about war and the difference of war photography in different periods. How the Vietnam War was particularly special in that it was kind of wide open. There was a lot more photography and video stuff coming out of the Vietnam War, and I think the military-industrial complex learned after that we're gonna not let that happen anymore. So like now, everything's kind of, you get embedded reporters like in the Afghan War, and when we it wasn't a war, when we invaded and took over Afghanistan for 20 years, those reporters were embedded with the troops, so kind of minded by the troops, not just sort of wandering around on their own, catching as catch can, of course, being in danger, but on the other hand, maybe seeing some great image. I talk about Errol Flynn a lot because he was, I read his book, one of the first books I read. So, but his son, Sean Flynn, actually died in Vietnam. He was a photographer. So, Susan Sontag, tag, regarding the pain of others. Thanks, Anna. Anna, A-N-A, Anna.